As always, I am going to start with a base layer first with a 2B pencil. Just do light shadings with softer hands. Just keep in mind that I am using a base layer without tracing box by box. I have blended a base layer with softed brush I have, as light is coming from left hand side of the picture and right hand side is in real, so shadows will be formed on the right hand side. I have used same skin texture method for forehead skin as I have used in part 1. Focus on the reference picture that hairs are going down to middle straight and curve in the end. I am using 6B pencil for hairs. You can use 8B or charcoal pencils for hairs too. But keep in mind that charcoal pencils cannot be used above graphite pencils. You should use graphite pencil or charcoal. Don't blend both of them. Focus on the reference picture that there are few lighter hairs in between the start and the end. Gradually increase grades of the pencil 6B to 8B. You can copy as I am doing, or if you know how to do hairs, you can go directly to. Focus on the small portions that you see in the reference picture. Small details will create a realistic sketch in the end. Use pointed rubbers for making highlights in between hairs. In the end, blend with the brush. Now do same base layer of hairs above the forehead. Use mechanical pencils for making lighter hairs. Keep in mind that there exist 3 layers in portraits. Number 1 is base, number 2 is outline, and number 3 is darkening only darker portions you see from the reference picture. Just start making lighter hairs with mechanical or pointed pencil. As you can see, I am darkening only upper and middle portions of hairs. Now blend those hairs with a brush so that the little grains that left with blend with hairs. Now I am only darkening portions those are totally dark by using 8B pencils. Don't darken every part of hairs because it will create a flat look of the portrait. Now I am just highlighting parts of hairs where white or low graded hairs are. Now same base layer and using mechanical pencils for base hairs. Now for short details hairs too. Make small hairs little darker in between longer hairs. Make sure longer hairs and shorter hairs get differentiated. You can also use mechanical pencils for 4B grade darker. But make sure don't use a hard hand with mechanical or any other pointed pencils because it will create problem while erasing, because you don't be able to erase and mark of that hard pencil strokes will remain. You can also use a mechanical pencil for first or second layer, and I highly recommend not to use mechanical pencil for base layer. Base layer works as a building block for skin texture or any other parts of your portrait. Now I am using same technique as I have used before for hairs. Now as you all know that the light source is coming on the left side, so that's why left side hairs are little lighter as compared to middle or right hand side of the face. I am only darkening hairs which are not as much shinier as compared to others. I am using 8B pencil for darkening shorter hairs which are under longer hairs. I am just retouching if any other details that I have missed. Now I am using rubber for highlighting hairs which are fewer or more shinier or brighter than other hairs. Now same technique I will apply for top layers too of hairs. As you can see from the reference picture that there are curved or semicircle type of hairs on the top most upper portions of hairs. Curved hairs, you need to focus on the direction of hairs. What I mean when I say direction of hairs is that hairs going on left side or right side, or hairs are just curving in the end. For this you need to focus on every small part between hairs. I will recommend using clear or high resolution picture, or you can say that reference picture for better detailed or clearer, or I can say that clearer sketch. You can use the mono eraser for highlighting two small details. Now using same technique for right side portions of the portraits too. The only difference when sketching right side will be shading portions. As you know that lights are coming from left side, so clearly right hand side of portrait will be more darker than any other parts of portrait. I am going directly without making base layer, but if you are a beginner, I will highly recommend to never skip base layers. Mechanical pencils are too good for detailing because it's just 0.5 mm, and if you want to make perfect or realistic sketch, you must focus on every single and small details you can see from reference picture that you are using. Now a small portion of two dark shades are in between every consecutive fingers. Those darkened shades are just shadows of fingers coming from left to right. Using a sharpened pencil, I am making small hairs and wrinkles on fingers. I use 2B pencils for smaller details and wrinkles around fingers. Oh, that sounded poetic. Same technique I applied before for detailing, I am using it again for fingers. In the end, brushing the strokes that did on fingers so that it gets blended. Now I'm just darkening portions of fingers with 6B and only blending those darkened parts with blending stumps. It looks too easy. When you will draw, it will take more than hours from base layer to darkened and detailed look, as you can see in the left hand side of the portrait. But trust me, if you will go step by step as I told you before, then sketch will look too great as a realistic sketch. While going for body parts, don't make hard outlines. First, because it will not be blended with the background or it will not look realistic. I have used 6B pencil for darkening portions between middle finger and second last finger. Now, as I have done before for two fingers, if I have outlined important details, but this time I have used 6B pencil for details because wrinkling on middle finger are too dark as compared to fingers I have sketched before. Last finger is just too dark for making any other details, so I have directly gone for 8B pencil. I have used a brush for blending those last two darkened fingers. I am just highlighting parts that I can see, not every part of right hand side of hairs, because only few portions are there on right hand side which are layer brightened and remain parts are just too dark. Now I am using soft makeup brush for blending base layer that I have created on right hand side and upper portions of hairs. The main purpose of using a soft makeup brush for right hand side and not on the left side, because you can't see too much detail on darker portions, but you can see every details on left hand side and right hand side too. Now for ears, I'm not using too dark as this part of portrait is highly brighter than any other. But if you can focus on the reference picture, inside part of that ear is darker than outside part of the ear. So if used 2B to 5B pencils for making ears more realistic. I have blended ears with hard brushes so that no grains will remain. As before, I have used pointed rubbers for highlighting portions of ear. Highlighting, blending, then again using the same dark portions are part of step-by-step processing of realistic sketch. Now for remaining part of hairs, I am just going small lining with downward direction of hairs with respect to reference picture. I have used 8B pencil for darkening those hairs and blended them with hard makeup brush. Now highlighting some portions again. Now for beard, I am using mechanical pencils with soft hands because left sided portions of beard is too light as compared to middle side of the beard. I am using the same technique as I have used for fingers. So again go for details. First with mechanical or 2B pencil or 3B pencil, blend it with pointed blending stumps. One thing that you should remember always is that before using blending stumps, make sure those blending stumps are clean before you blend them.
So that was all
tips and tricks
for part 2
of hair
and volumes for
men.
half head.
Subscribe that red monster again and kill him. So like this video, comment on this video and subscribe. Don't forget to press that bell icon.
You can also follow me on Instagram where you can ask your doubts or any other things that you want to ask me about portrait drawings one by one. You can DM me or you can email me for paid collabs, or if you want a sketch of your family members, friends or anyone else, just email me or you can DM me on my Instagram or Facebook. If you want to buy pencils or materials that I've used in this video, the links are in the description box.
I hope you have an artistic day. If so, then see you in part 3. Tattoos.